Thoughts so loud, thoughts so wow that I need to get them out, yeah? What's up, my people, and welcome to the 25th episode of Loud Thoughts, brought to you by me, your host, True Loudy, the hostess with the mostest, but ain't no cakes in my tummy because I get the aches from the cakes. You know what I'm saying? Today's episode is all about guidelines. Where do we get our guidelines from? Some of us develop them ourselves, but a lot of them come from religion, maybe morals, maybe virtues. Maybe there's something that were instilled by our parents into us as we grew up, right? A lot of them come from experience, right? Parents will tell you to do shit, and you're like, I don't want to fucking do that. You're my parent. I'm not going to listen. I got to learn the hard way. Well, I developed 4 guidelines that seem to be working for me. So today's episode is all about sharing that with you. If you haven't liked this podcast yet, go ahead and hit the like button down below. You could also hit the subscribe button down below. Also turn on post notifications. Also, scroll down to the description. You can buy some merch. Go to my website. Just go to my website. Check it out. It's got all the stuff on there. You can learn a little bit more about the brand. Ooh, neat. Wow. Cool. Wow. Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's just do that. And without further ado, I bring to you episode number 25, Best Guidelines. So today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about my 4 guidelines that I like to use in order to kind of keep myself on track throughout these difficult times that we're all experiencing, coronavirus, and then, everything else that's going on in our lives. Trying to find out who we are, what we want to do with our lives, where we want to go, how to manage our relationships, right? How do we handle our work lives and our lives at school and our lives in our families and all these different things, right? All these roles that we play as individuals, and how do we manage the relationships within those roles? But then how do we also manage the relationship with ourselves? And I think that's the biggest thing, right? How do you manage the relationship with yourself? Because that's the most important. When you develop a healthy relationship with yourself, you have the space to develop relationships with other people. And so I've got kind of 4 guidelines that I wrote down one day on my little dry erase board over here to my left that you can't see. But the idea behind writing these down was essentially to have something to look at every day to remind me of the person that I want to be. And these guidelines essentially help me maintain that goal. And there's a lot of other characteristics, like I've said before, of the person that I want to be. There's characteristics of the type of person that you want to be, I'm sure, right? And the more we remind ourselves of those things, the more aware we are of them, the more they're in our conscious space. And then we're able to redirect if we start acting in ways that are outside of that alignment that we want to be in, right? It's like a frequency wave, right? We're going like this. Whoa, right? The line's right here. And we keep, going above the line, below the line, right? We want to try to match the other wave, right? Wherever that other wave is at that we want to be, we want to match that. So the idea behind this whole thing of writing these guidelines down is that I wanted to be able to see them every day to make them part of my conscious space, right? So the first one that I wrote down was be adamant. And what does that mean, right? Well, let me tell you. Be adamant means be dogged in the pursuit of what you want in this life. Whatever your goals are, don't be afraid to find ways around roadblocks. Don't be discouraged. Don't be afraid, I guess, when things happen and they're outside of your expectations. We have to learn to manage that. We have to learn to be adamant in the face of adversity, because adversity will always rear its head in this life, whether you expect it or not. Whether you want to deal with it or not, that's something that's ubiquitous among all human experience, is that there will be pain, there will be suffering, there will be difficult times. Yes, there will be joy and happiness too, right? But those don't cause strife. So we don't need to worry about developing guidelines to keep us on track when we're happy, right? Ooh, we're happy. Maybe you want to know how to recreate that experience, right? Why am I so happy right now? Well, let me think about it. I did this and then this happened and now I'm happy. So I want to recreate that. But we need to be adamant in our lives in the pursuit of our goals, because life will kick you down and break your ribs, and it will be hard to breathe. Life will kick dirt in your face. Life will trip you when you're on a good path, Life will throw you for a loop, throw you a curveball that's hard to hit. And so whatever happens, if we remember that being in a place where we can persevere and being in a place where no matter what happens, we've made the commitment to ourselves that we are going to push through, that is being adamant. And it's trusting yourself too. A lot of it has to do with trust and believing that you are doing the things that are going to bring you somewhere, right? And so that kind of brings me to the next one, right? Guideline number 2 is be grateful. We as humans love to socially compare. We love to look at what's going on in other people's lives, and we discourage ourselves by saying, I'll never be as pretty as them. I'll never be as handsome as them. I'll never be as talented as this individual. All these nevers, all these doubts that we bring into our lives, and we immediately think about the things that we don't have in comparison to others versus the things that we do have, right? Or like a lot of it's based on material. People will be like, oh, I don't have a Lambo. I want a Lambo. I'll never have a Lambo, right? See how quickly it goes from like, I don't have this. I want this. I'll never get it. Instead of thinking about ways that we can be grateful for the things that we do have, right? We always look up at like the people that we want to emulate, but we never look down at the people we don't want to emulate. Like, that human is a piece of shit. I'm really glad I got to meet them because I never want to be like that piece of shit. And that taught me this is how people think of you when you act that way, right? I like to do that from time to time. And it's not like I'm a better than that person type of mentality, but it's like, oh, damn, like I used to maybe be like that and I've come a long way, right? And that's just mentality and shit like that. But when it comes to material possessions too, you can do it the same way. And you know, people in third world countries don't have a lot of stuff, but often they're really happy because everything's about perspective, right? And so the way you think about your life directly influences the way your happiness and the way you feel about your life. So be grateful for the things that you do have is so important. And it makes a huge difference in your day-to-day life. For me, like, I try to just think about where I was 3-4 years ago versus where I am now. And that makes me so grateful. I'm so grateful for how far I've come. Maybe for you, it might have to do with like a new job you have, or it might be a relationship that you have that you didn't have before, or it could be really difficult to find things to be grateful for. And that's okay too. If you're finding it really difficult to be grateful for things, just look around you. Like, do you have a roof over your head? Oh yeah, I have a roof over your head. If you're listening to this podcast, or watching it, you probably have a phone. That's dope. You have a phone, dude. You can connect to anybody around the world at any time as long as they want to also connect with you, right? So there's these little things that we take for granted every day because it's almost like an out of sight, out of mind thing. We have it, and it's so ingrained in our everyday usage that we just don't think about it. Like hot water, dude. Hot showers are so nice to have. Just think about it, dude. Like, you are able to literally just sit under hot water for like 20 minutes and let it pour upon you. And how relaxing is that? How nice is that? Or a bed, like a really comfortable bed. So even if you're feeling like you don't have a lot, you probably have more than 95% of the people out there. So there's ways to find paths to be grateful, paths to gratefulness. And I think the more you do that, the more you give thanks. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in a higher power. But the more you give thanks and dwell on what you do have, you can build upon that to get you to a place of more. But when you always covet what everyone else has, it's very difficult to be content. And being content is very good for your mental health. It's so easy to be discontent. The world's crazy. The world's fucking crazy, dude. So moving to the next thing, the next guideline, right? So our next guideline here is be real. So being real essentially means, what do you believe, right? Figure out what you believe and be real with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with other people, right? And this is huge. It's really difficult actually to figure out what you believe in, but I think more importantly, this guideline for me personally, and it could have a different meaning for you, is like, be honest and be open with others. Be real about what's going on with you. Be real about how you feel about things, whether they're justified or not. people are more willing to understand, right? So this is like, be real with yourself about what is possible in your life, what you believe in, and then also be real, and also be real with like your goals and what you're trying to achieve, right? And if you're allowing yourself to do those things and giving yourself the space to do those things. And honestly, like it's a pretty big umbrella, right? Like be real. Like what the fuck does that even mean? But it can mean whatever you want it to mean. But I'm telling you what it means for me. And so the other aspect of that too is like be real in your relationships. Be real with the people that are in your support group. Be real with even people that aren't in your support group. Obviously, there's a time and place for it. Like someone says, "Hey, how you doing?" And they're a random person on the street. You don't have to tell them your life story. But, the more open you are and the more vulnerable you are and the more honest you are, you'll see leaps and bounds in your relationships and how they function. And people respect you a lot more when you tell them the truth. Even when you don't, like, most of the time you don't have to tell the truth at all. And you can play it off like, nothing's wrong with me, or I'm not really thinking this thing or feeling this thing. And like I said, your feelings and thoughts aren't always justified. But if you communicate with others in your relationships and you communicate with yourself and be honest with yourself and others, like people understand, and you'll be able to give yourself more graciousness in the way that you walk through this life. And life gets a lot easier when you do these things. So for me, that's kind of being real, what that means. And then the last one is seek truth. So for me, everything I do, I want to know the truth behind it or whatever, right? Like the best way to do something. What's the truth behind this situation? Like this conversation that I had. Do they really mean those things? Are they saying those things to like make me feel better or whatever, right? Or what's the truth behind our nature of existence on this planet? Why are we here? What does life mean? What's the point, right? So for me, in most things I do, I try to seek truth. And that ties in with being real. It ties in with this whole concept of honesty, right? I don't have the answers. I don't know shit, actually. I'm just floating here with everyone else, through space, tied to this rock. And so I'm trying to make the best sense of it that I possibly can. And that helps me get through the day. It gives me meaning to want to seek truth and to want to find meaning in things. And I think that's kind of what that whole guideline is about, is to remind me, like, it's very possible that there are universal truths, and if you actively seek for them, you will find, right? Seek and ye shall find, right? That whole thing. So that honestly ties in with being real. Those kind of tether together. So those are my 4 guidelines, and I have them on a board. I get to look at them every day. If I'm getting down on myself or feeling like shit, or I feel kind of like I'm deviating from my path, I can look at those and I can go, okay, where am I? What am I feeling? Where am I? And what am I neglecting? And a lot of the time I can pull from there. If I don't want to do something that I know I need to do, be adamant, be dogged in the pursuit of your goals. They're right there for you to take. You just have to be active in pursuing them, right? So I hope this helped you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, much love. And may you be blessed as you move through the streets of this life, trying to navigate which way is wrong and which way is right, baby. I'll catch you in the next one.